Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another episode of Jake Talks Star Wars, and today we're talking about some breaking news, or news, not really breaking news, from New York Comic Con. Apparently earlier today, New York Comic Con had some of their publishing panels. Lucasfilm had its publishing panel earlier this afternoon, and they went over some of their upcoming projects, novels, books, comics, stuff like that. So I've got the news article from StarWars.com here going over some of that, so let's talk about it together. The first big announcement is coming from Star Wars Legacy. It's a novel, looks like an adult-themed novel or written for adults. And it looks like it's going to be about Rey and Leia, and about how Leia is training Rey in the ways of the Jedi. She's calling on her lessons that she got from Luke to help Rey complete her training as a Jedi Knight. So that could prove to be really interesting. We saw a little bit of that, but it was limited. What we saw from that was limited because they were working with scenes that were already filmed, right? Because Carrie Fisher passed away, I believe, either during or before most of the filming for Last Jedi was it during or after? Carrie Fisher passed away before they could really do anything for Rise of Skywalker. So the footage they were using in Rise of Skywalker was going to be unused footage from Last Jedi and Force Awakens. So that's kind of a bummer, right? So I think telling this story that happens between the movies in a novel, I think is probably the best approach, because that way we don't have to we don't have to worry about the ethics of using deep fakes or using artificial intelligence or using anything like that to kind of help create Carrie Fisher, her image again, or using her daughter. And then with those things to help, we don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. We're able to just tell the story in that novel form. So I think this is a great candidate for a novel, and I think the setting of a novel is probably the best place for that story, telling about Rey's training as a Jedi, telling about how they fixed the Luke's lightsaber and some of those challenges. Now, I'll be interested to see how this meshes in with, I think it's called, Resistance Reborn. Resistance Reborn is another novel that happens right after Last Jedi and in between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. And Resistance Reborn is exactly what it sounds like. It's how the Resistance was kind of rebuilt from scratch following the events of The Last Jedi. So if I remember right, it's been a few years since I read that book. If I remember right, that book mostly followed like Finn and Poe and didn't really involve Rey or Leia very much. So they should, if I'm willing to bet, they're probably happening concurrently with each other. It should be interesting, though. It should be good. And that is coming next summer in July. So we always like a summertime release. So that'll be fun. And then let's see here. So we like a summertime release for that. We'll talk more about that later. Looks like there's a full interview with someone, probably the author, that I can read and check out later on. So maybe I'll do another video with some more insight into that later on. But it should be interesting. Should be a lot of fun. And then the next one, now this is really interesting. We're kind of going off the reservation here a little bit with Star Wars books, I think. The next book announced is Star Wars Eyes Like Stars. Now, this is from New York Times best-selling author Ashley Poston, and she is writing the first official Star Wars romance novel, Eyes Like Stars. New York Comic Con got the first look at the dreamlike cover for the young adult novel. So it's a young adult novel, which features a couple in their search for their happily ever after in the galaxy far, far away. Set about a year and a half before The Force Awakens, features all new characters and a mysterious artifact and the fearsome First Order. I could have swore we had a couple of books prior to this that were at least romance adjacent. I remember, oh gosh, and I can't remember the titles, but I remember we had a couple books prior to this that were at least romance adjacent, but maybe I'm wrong. But this one, I mean, I'm looking at the cover. It says Eyes Like Stars. It has two characters and some TIE fighters up in the mix. And at the bottom it says a Star Wars romance novel. I don't know if it's for me. Right? It's a young adult novel for one. I'm a fully fledged adult. And I'm not usually one to read romance novels. But hey, I got a daughter approaching her tweens. So maybe that's something she'd be interested in. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how this one does. I don't know a whole lot about it. They're all new characters set in a time period we're not as familiar with. So could be interesting, could be good. That's the nice thing about publishing. You know, your potential for loss is limited. They're throwing a Hail Mary with this one. You know, I don't know that they've done other Star Wars romance novels. So throwing a little bit of a Hail Mary, seeing if it sticks. And, you know, the losses are going to be, if it doesn't work, losses are limited. If it pays off, even better. They can write more of these in the future. So I think it's interesting. Who knows? Maybe not for me, but for somebody. So that's kind of cool. I like how they're taking a stab at that. Here's one. The Art of the Mandalorian and Grogu. Ooh. So author Phil Sostak gives insight to the concept and creation of the visual elements of the Clan of Two's first big screen adventure. The Art of Mandalorian and Grogu also includes a look back at artwork from Season 3 of The Mandalorian, as well as moments from the Book of Boba Fett. Oh, cool. I call those like coffee table books. And if I had proper coffee tables in my house, I would probably get more books like that. You know, I've got kids and dogs and cats and everything else, so you can't really keep anything on your coffee table because it's all at risk. But that's definitely something I'd be interested in. It'd be pretty cool. So let's see here. Star Wars Visions. Ooh. Star Wars Visions Tsukumo. New York Comic Con revealed Viz Media's new original Star Wars manga featuring Star Wars Visions Tsukumo from the all-star creators of the latest Ultraman manga. I don't know anything about mangas or Ultraman. I'm assuming that's all good things. In the wake of Order 66, a lone Jedi Knight accompanies a pair of droids rumored to a rumored droid's paradise while being pursued by the Empire. Cool. The cover. We got a picture of the cover here. We got a guy in Jedi robes wearing a helmet, what looks like a clone trooper helmet, wielding a blue lightsaber. So he's in Jedi clothes, like robes, Jedi clothes. Looks like he's wearing a clone trooper helmet or something clone trooper adjacent, or maybe, you know, close enough to a clone trooper for Visions, and a blue lightsaber. So that's cool. Why not? And then the Star Wars, the High Republic Adventures Pathfinders. This is always fun. So return to the era of the High Republic with the new Pathfinders miniseries from Dark Horse Comics. Dark Horse is back in the mix. From Dark Horse Comics, Lucasfilm revealed the covers of the first two issues, which follows a brand new team of Republic Pathfinders as they are dispatched to a distant corner of the galaxy to investigate the strange death of a Jedi Master. Upcoming adventure takes place 20 years after Phase 2. So, 20 years after Phase 2 of the High Republic. Should be interesting. Boba Fett, Black, White, and Red, number 3. Okay. And then we got some sneak peeks. Oh, man. These sneak peeks of the art books look pretty cool. Star Wars Mandalorian Visual Guide. And Industrial Light and Magic, 50 Years of Innovation. And again, coffee table books, but very, very cool. They look very, very interesting. And then Art of Color. This is cool. The Art of Coloring, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu. Over 100 pages in The Art of Coloring, just waiting for your own colorful take on the Clan of Two. Those are these adult coloring books. That's fun. Funko Pop coloring book. The Art of Star Wars Andor, the complete series. It's pretty cool. And then the Cinematic Legacy, Doug Chiang, the Cinematic Legacy Volume 1, and the Star Wars Legacy Volume 2. Cool. And here's a big one. The Art of Star Wars, The Acolyte. So they're doing an Art of Star Wars book focused completely on The Acolyte, with exclusive concept art and interviews with key creatives from the series, including a foreword from creator Leslie Headland. New York Comic Con attendees got a peek at the inside concept for the Stranger's Mask. Ooh, cool. I'm looking at some pictures here. It looks pretty rad. I'm going to say, if you like The Acolyte, you need to buy this book, right? If you like The Acolyte, if you want Lucasfilm to bring it back, potentially bring it back in some kind of iteration, you need to buy this book and show them that interest. Because whatever happened with Acolyte last summer, I think it was just a combination of being pretty darn expensive, and then the internet kind of got a hold of it and did its thing. Disney decided it wasn't worth it to keep going with it, which is a shame, because I think it had a lot of cool story left to tell. But what's going to get them moving again in that direction is dollar signs. So if people are buying that book, that Art of the Acolyte book, showing that interest in the Acolyte, that can potentially help encourage them to continue that story in some way. I don't know if you'll ever see a Star Wars Acolyte Season 2, but to see those stories continued in novels or comics is, definitely a possibility. So if you liked Acolyte, make sure you pick up that book. Looks like it's getting released in January of 26. So coming up in January. Star Wars crochet. And then, of course, a Star Wars crochet. Very silly. Very fun stuff. A lot of cool stuff coming up. So a couple of cool books. A couple of interesting books. I don't know if... Legacy I'll probably definitely read. Don't know if I'll read Eyes Like Stars. Don't know if I'll read that. I might. But I'm interested to see how they do. I hope they're both successful. And all the art books I'm sure will be successful. The manga I'm sure will be fine. So definitely some cool stuff from New York Comic Con today, guys. Keep an eye out for more news. I'm sure they may be releasing more as time progresses. But that's it for my breaking news on New York Comic Con stuff today. Let me know what you think. What announcement were you most interested in? What caught your attention the most? What are you most excited about? And just let me know. Let me know in the comments below here on YouTube. You can also let me know on Threads or on Instagram at any of my posts over there. And give me a shout. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And thanks for coming by, guys. I'll catch you next time. Remember, be good to each other out there. And as always, may the Force be with you.